And hello once again. Welcome to my first live stream of college football this season, as college football getting underway tonight with Boise State ranked number 25 against South Florida. Welcome to my stream. First of all, my name is John, Sports Bonanza John, my YouTube handle here. If you like my content on here, I'd appreciate a like and subscribe. It would mean a lot and go a long way. Also with you on Kick tonight at Sports Kick John. I also do have some content on Twitch at Sport Guru John. As we get set for the first full weekend of college football. Of course, it got underway last week, but this is the first full week of college football, first full weekend of college football. It gets underway tonight with number 25, Boise State, and South Florida. Boise State, of course, coming off that college football playoff appearance last year, going down in the college football playoff quarterfinals last year to Penn State. They're in the Fiesta Bowl. South Florida coming off the Hawaii Bowl appearance, a 5 overtime game in the Hawaii Bowl against San Jose State, as we get set for a brand new college football season. Before we begin any live stream on my page here, we do always start off with a prayer. Let's start off right now. Lord Jesus, thank you for this day. Thank you for looking out for us, Lord, and be protective, and please protect all these players tonight, Lord, and please let there not be any significant injuries, and just look over us all, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Boise State and South Florida as college football gets fully underway. As mentioned, Boise State coming in preseason number 25 out of the Mountain West. South Florida out of the American Athletic Conference. Of course, Boise State, their big running back last year, Aston Gianti, he is gone. So Boise State's going to have to regroup at that running back position. But still looking for a big year this year. And South Florida looking to improve on their appearance, as I mentioned, in the Hawaii Bowl a year ago against San Jose State. First of many college football games tonight. And before we talk college football, there was a big news story that broke from the NFL about 35 minutes ago. The Dallas Cowboys trading Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers, getting two draft picks in that trade, as Micah Parsons becoming a Green Bay Packer, a 4-year, $188 million deal given to Micah Parsons by Green Bay. Cowboys, in addition to those draft picks, will receive defensive tackle Kenny Clark from the Packers in exchange in that trade with Micah Parsons between the Cowboys and Green Bay. So Micah Parsons going to be in a Green Bay Packers uniform for, looks like, the next 4 years. Again, 4 years, $188 million. That is the biggest non-quarterback deal in NFL history, I believe. So we are set to go, as that news broke from the NFL about 40 minutes ago. But here, college football set to get underway tonight. Boise State, number 25, Boise State against South Florida. There are several games going on across the country in college football tonight. We'll keep you updated on the college football scoreboard as the night goes on. This is the only game ongoing right now. There are a couple other games that kick off at the top of the hour. But, of course, the big featured game this weekend in college football, Texas and Ohio State. I plan to do a live stream on that game Saturday, but YouTube TV, who's my TV provider, and Fox are going through some kind of dispute. So as long as I still have Fox on Saturday, I will be on for a live stream of that game, as Boise State is going to receive the football first. As Maddox Madsen, the starting quarterback this year for Boise State, we will see the Broncos offense take the field first. And the run up, and we are underway in Tampa. At the 2-yard line, run back across the 10, spinning and getting up to the 20-yard line. And that's where Boise State will start this opening possession of 2025. As mentioned, Maddox Madsen getting the start. He's the junior out of Utah. preseason player of the year, offensive player of the year in the Mountain West. Threw for over 3,000 yards a season ago, 23 touchdowns. And Boise State will start this first drive at the 20-yard line. First possession of the game. This is a handoff and picking up about 3 yards on the play on first down. Sherrod, the running back for Boise State, looking to take over from where Ashton Gianti, their star running back, took off last year. Gain of 4 on first down for Boise brings up second down and 6. Madsen in the shotgun this time. Trying to draw South Florida offsides, almost able to do so. Madsen calls, and now will throw his first pass of the game, and that pass is complete for a first down across the 30-yard line. First down reception for Boise State. And that will be first down on a 13-yard pickup up to the 37-yard line. Reception there by Latrell Caples, the wide receiver for Boise State. Up to the 36-yard line, a first down for the Broncos. Madsen right back in the gun. And he will throw again on first down, but this time his receiver is met for a minimal gain of 2 yards. A big hit right there. Rucker got the hit for South Florida defensively, and a gain of 2 on first down. Second down 8 for the Broncos from the 38-yard line, nearly 2 minutes in this first quarter. Madsen looking and throws a little screen pass, and that's going to be a gain of about 7 yards up to the 45-yard line. That's gains on the reception for Boise State, and it will bring up third down and a yard. So Boise State able to pick up 25 yards on this opening drive and need a yard here to keep this series of downs alive. Gaines only able to play in 3 games last year before he suffered that season-ending injury. And it's third and a yard for Boise. And the handoff, this is going to be a first down for Boise State. And that will keep the chains running on 3rd and 1. I believe that's Sherrod that got the, no, it was Gaines rather. He picks up 2 and a first down for the Broncos. So Gaines getting in the action early for the Broncos. And Boise State keeps the opening drive alive as they are up near midfield at the 47-yard line. Madsen back in the shotgun for Boise. Madsen looking to throw, has a man wide open, but hit immediately after the catch for a gain of 4 yards. That's Wagner making the reception for the Broncos after a gain of 4 yards. Matt Wagner, sophomore tight end out of Texas, with the 5-yard reception, they're going to call it. Second down and 5 on South Florida's side of the field. Madsen under center this time. And Madsen, the handoff, this is Sherrod. Sherrod getting first down yardage inside the 40-yard line, and 11 yards for Sherrod there inside the 40 to the 38-yard line of South Florida. Sherrod found a little bit of a hole. Mark him down officially at the 39-yard line, so give him 9 yards on that. First down for the Broncos at the Bulls 39, opening possession of the football game. Madsen fakes the handoff. Madsen still looking downfield towards the sideline. That's incomplete. Nothing open there. And Madsen with his first incompletion of the game. It'll be second down and 10. Madsen made the wise choice there, saw he didn't have much down the field, and just threw it to the sideline for an incomplete pass. Madsen, that was his first incompletion. He had completed his first 4 passes. Now 4 for 5. Second down. And another handoff. This is going absolutely nowhere on second down. The South Florida defense right there. And getting the carry that time was Dylan Riley, but he got nothing. And it'll be a 3rd and long this time for the Broncos. So the first 3rd and long situation for Boise State in this game, as they have gobbled up nearly 5 minutes off the clock here in this opening quarter. Late arriving crowd starting to make some noise on 3rd and 10. Madsen back to the shotgun. Madsen looking. Madsen throws to an open man. That's Sherrod, but he's going to be short. The ball's out, and South Florida has recovered. Sherrod got the reception but fumbled, and South Florida picks it up, and a 5+ minute drive stalls on a fumble by Sherrod, and South Florida will take over. He was going to be short of the first down anyway. Then Sherrod got hit, and the ball came out, and the South Florida defense steps up and creates the early turnover. So the drive stalls out for Boise State on an opening turnover. They picked up 41 yards on that opening drive, but now we will see South Florida come up on offense for the first time with 9:45 remaining in a scoreless first quarter. This is the only game involving a ranked team tonight in college football. Mentioned other action kicking off at the top of the hour. East Carolina and NC State, a battle of the state of North Carolina. That'll be at 7 o'clock Eastern. I mentioned the big game coming up on Saturday, which I hope to be on for a live stream with you, Texas and Ohio State. That is a noon Eastern time kickoff. Then also on my live stream, we'll have an FCS matchup for you on Saturday evening. I'll mention which game that's going to be later on in the evening. You have an FBS and an FCS game for you on this live stream every Saturday, work schedule permitting. I do start a new job next week, so we'll have to see how that plays with that. But work schedule permitting, hope to be on with you for an FBS and FCS game with you every Saturday. On the live stream, we'll be with you Sunday as well for Notre Dame and Miami. That should be a good one. Down there in Florida, and the weekend wraps up on Monday with the debut of Bill Belichick as head coach of North Carolina, as they will take on TCU. That will be on Labor Day night, Monday night. So Boise State and South Florida here. South Florida will get their first offensive possession. 9:45 mark of the opening quarter. As Boise State was marching right down the field, but turned the ball over. As we will now see the South Florida offense take the field for the first time. This is the one thing, college football is back. They have these long commercial breaks. Why you don't see college football games take very rarely less than 3 hours, 45 minutes anymore. So with 9:45 to go in the quarter, here comes South Florida on offense for the first time. South Florida coming off a winning season last year. Mentioned that Hawaii Bowl 5 overtime win against San Jose State to wrap up the year last year. And they will start this possession at the 39-yard line. A screen pass on first down. That is going nowhere but backwards for a yard. As Brown gave the screen pass, but it's a 1-yard loss on first down. Byron Brown, the senior starting quarterback for South Florida, working very quickly, and that's almost intercepted. Great anticipation for Boise State and a near pick, and there was a lot of green ahead of him if he was able to make that interception. Now it's going to be 3rd and 11. 3rd and 11 for Brown and the Bulls from their own 38-yard line. Brown out of the gun. And Brown changing the play as he comes back up in the huddle. Play clock down to 5. Looks like Boise State's bringing a blitz here. Here they come. Brown in trouble, and Brown is sacked. Back at the 26-yard line, Boise State was bringing the heat, and they get the quarterback sack, and South Florida does nothing off the turnover. It is a 3 and out. That was David Latu at the head of the Boise State defense there, getting to the quarterback, Brown. So South Florida will have to punt this away to the Broncos. And the punt bounces at the 32-yard line and will go out of bounds around the 25. And so that's where Boise State will start their second possession of the game. So a 5-minute, 15-second drive for Boise State before the fumble, and South Florida has the ball less than a minute and a half on their first possession. Second possession of the game for the Broncos in a scoreless game with scoreless first quarter with 8:28 to go. And Madsen back out at quarterback. Out of the shotgun once again. Madsen, that's a screen pass, but going nowhere with it is on first down. Maybe picked up a yard on that. That was a screen pass. Quentin Brown receiving the pass there. Madsen now 6 for 7 for 33 yards in this first quarter. They will give him a gain of 1 there, so it's 2nd and 9. From the 28. Madsen back in the gun. Madsen looking to throw for the 8th time here in this first quarter. It's another screen pass, but incomplete as he looked for Sherrod. Even if Sherrod catches that, he won't get much. And Boise State has a 3rd and long coming up. Third down and 9 for Boise. Ball sitting at the 28-yard line. Madsen once again in the shotgun. Madsen looking. Madsen throwing down the field, incomplete and almost intercepted. Boise State almost with their second turnover. And it is a 3 and out for the Broncos on their second possession. Madsen very, very fortunate that was not intercepted, and it probably should have been. So a punt coming for the Broncos. Fair catch called and made around the 25-yard line. We do have a flag that comes in. First flag of the game. So we will see what this flag is about. So we got illegal formation against Boise State. And we also have a hold against South Florida. So those are going to offset. And they're going to re-kick this. So offsetting penalties. And we will have a redo on the 4th down punt. Total yards right now sit 42 for Boise State, minus 12 for South Florida. So Oscar Doyle will be on to punt this again. Good snap. Doyle gets the punt away. And this time it's going to be returned at the 21-yard line. Room on the left side, 30 and out of bounds. At the 32-yard line, Porter on the return of 11 yards. And at the 32-yard line, that's where South Florida will start their second possession of the game. Right at the midway point, 7:31 to go in the opening quarter. Nothing game between Boise State and South Florida. We're previewing these two teams. Boise State does not have the easiest start to the season. South Florida does not have the easiest start to the season. They play 3 consecutive ranked teams to start off the season. They got this game tonight with Boise State. Next Saturday, they travel to Gainesville to take on the Gators. And then the following Saturday, they travel to Miami to take on the 10th-ranked Miami Hurricanes. So 3 consecutive ranked teams to open the season for South Florida. A nasty start to the season. Then they play FCS South Carolina State before jumping into American Athletic Conference play. Boise State, meanwhile, does have a game coming up at the beginning of October at Notre Dame. That's about the toughest game on their schedule. They follow this game up next Friday by hosting FCS Eastern Washington before they open Mountain West play. As Boise State looking to make a return trip to the college football playoff, where they made it last year to the quarterfinals in the Fiesta Bowl before falling to Penn State. 31-14 in that game. So Boise State, one of those teams, they're preseason number 25 this year. As they mentioned, look for that return trip to the college football playoff. Going to be a little bit different seeding format this year in the college football playoff. There's a lot of controversy with that seeding format a year ago, so they have tweaked that up a little bit this year. Going to be a very interesting season this year. See how many teams, the SEC, the Big Ten, all those power conferences, how many they're able to get into the playoff. So here's 7:31 to play in the opening quarter. A couple other games of note around college football are about to kick off. Up in Piscataway, New Jersey, Rutgers hosting Ohio University. And also set to kick off Lafayette and Bowling Green. Nebraska-Cincinnati, pretty good matchup. That comes up at 9 o'clock Eastern. That game will be in Kansas City. That looks like a pretty good matchup. Big 10 against Big 12 in that game. Back to action here with 7:31 to play in the opening quarter. South Florida and Boise State, nothing. South Florida went backwards on their opening drive, minus 12 yards. As Brown will lead the offense back out for the Bulls. As they will start this drive, their second drive of the game, at their own 32-yard line. They're actually going to mark it at the 29-yard line is where they're going to start this drive. First down here, there's a screen pass. Brown, and that's going to be a 4-yard pickup on first down. Reception made there for South Florida for a 4-yard gain. We're moving quickly, and this is a give to Franklin. Sam Franklin gets by one set of tacklers and gets across the 40 to the 41-yard line. That's going to be a South Florida first down. Sam Franklin looked like he was going to be held for a 1-yard gain, but got past the tackler. Now they say his knee did hit at the 34, so they're going to mark him down right there. It'll be 3rd down and 5 for South Florida. Franklin wasn't quite able to keep his knee from hitting. Brown on 3rd and 5. Pass is caught. Reception made and a first down, or is it? Actually, Singleton with the reception. His knee may have hit just before he hit the first down marker. And it did. He's a yard short at the 38, and South Florida's keeping the offense out on 4th and 1. Brown under center. Looks like he's going to try to sneak this. This is a full yard he needs. This is not going to be an easy pickup, and it looks like he might be trying to drive Boise off sides here. Still 10 on the play clock. Brown does keep it, and I don't think he got it. I don't think Brown got it. He needed a full yard, and I think Boise stopped him. And with that spot, he's not even close. And it is a turnover on downs. Boise State with the defensive stop on 4th and 1. South Florida rolls the dice early and goes for 4th down inside their own 40. And Brown on the quarterback keeper comes up short. And they give Boise State excellent field position inside the South Florida 40. The South Florida rolled the dice and took a gamble, but it did not pay off. That was a good full yard Brown needed. That was not going to be an easy pickup, as he found out. So Boise State gets it at the 39 of South Florida, first down. Madsen fakes the handoff. Madsen throws toward the end zone, incomplete. Just out of the reach of his intended receiver. Let's see who that was. That was Chris Marshall, the intended receiver there. 2nd down and 10 for the Broncos. Madsen back in the gun again. Madsen looking. Madsen down the field. Has his man for a first down. The catch made by Marshall. Chris Marshall. Madsen went right back to him and picks up 13 yards and a first down. Well, that was a great pass to where only his receiver Marshall could get it. And Boise's inside the South Florida 30, first down. At the 25-yard line, Madsen back in the gun. Madsen calls, snap. Madsen looking. Madsen nowhere to go, and he just keeps it himself, and he's going to lose a yard here, it looks like, on first down. Madsen had nothing downfield and just got what he could and almost made it back to the line of scrimmage, but it's going to be 2nd and 11. Madsen 7 for 11, passing for 40 yards in this first quarter. Second down. Madsen the give, and this is a carry here, and picking up, Gaines dodged a couple tacklers and runs out of bounds. That ends up a gain of 8 yards for Gaines on second down. Gaines looked like he was going to be held for about a 2-yard gain there, but eluded a couple tacklers and picks up 9. Boise's a yard short of the first down. It's going to be 3rd and 1 from the 16-yard line of South Florida. Madsen under center this time. Madsen will give it off, and I don't know that he got there. And it looks like they're going to spot Sherrod got the carry there, and they're going to spot him about a half-yard short. So it looks like Boise's going to keep the offense out on 4th and about a half yard. Fourth down. About a half yard, the handoff, and that's going to be a first down to Gaines. First down, Broncos to keep the drive alive on 4th and a half yard. Gaines picks up about 2. Fifth first down of the quarter for Boise State. And they keep the drive alive in the red zone at the South Florida 14. Madsen throwing to the end zone, incomplete. Good defensive play that time. There is a flag on the play here, however. We'll see what the flag is. We're getting the call right now. It's going to be pass interference on South Florida. Deshaun Rucker, the guilty party. He's the one that knocked the ball away, but a little bit too much contact. And that's probably a good call looking at the replay. He did have his arms over Marshall's back. So it's going to be 1st and goal for the Broncos as they try to finish this drive off, as the ball will be placed at the 4-yard line. 2:33 to go opening quarter. No score yet, but Boise State knocking on the door. And the official set the ball. And now Madsen under center. Madsen the give to Gaines, and Gaines is going to be a little short as he gets to the 1, and it'll be 2nd and goal. Second and goal for the Broncos from the 1-yard line. And keeping it on the play, and did not get in. Can't get much closer. It was a botched handoff, a botched snap, I should say, from the center to Madsen, and Madsen recovered, but comes up about a half yard short. 3rd down and goal from about the half-yard line, and we've got whistles everywhere and flags all over the place. This is going to be some kind of motion penalty. And it looks like Boise State's going to get whistled for a false start. So that's going to move the ball back now to about the 5.5-yard line, so 3rd and goal. So Boise State with the false start moves it back from the half-yard line. They're now back at about the 6. Third and goal, Broncos. 1.5 minutes and counting to play in this scoreless first quarter. Madsen out of the shotgun. Madsen passes, caught for a Boise State touchdown. 6-yard touchdown pass to Chris Marshall to finish off the drive, and the Broncos strike first with 1:10 to go in the quarter. Madsen finds Marshall and finishes it off with it's going to be officially a 5-yard touchdown. And now the extra point attempt. Snap is good, and Colton Boomer adds the extra point. And with 1:10 to go in the first quarter in Tampa, it is Boise State 7, South Florida nothing. Drive finished off. Madsen to Marshall, 5-yard touchdown pass. And the Broncos take the late first quarter lead. Madsen now 8 for 12 passing in this first quarter, 46 yards and a touchdown. As Boise State's gotten a lot of offensive players into the act right now, as they've had 7 different players catch a pass in this first quarter. As they jump out to a 7-0 lead over South Florida with 1:10 to go in the opening quarter. In case you missed the news from earlier, from the beginning of my live stream out of the NFL, Cowboys trade Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers, and he signs a 4-year, $188 million deal with Green Bay. That is the largest non-quarterback contract in NFL history. So we're going to see Micah Parsons in a Green Bay Packers uniform for the foreseeable future. That may be a move that puts Green Bay atop the list of NFC contenders. So that news broke out of the NFL about an hour or so ago. And while there's this timeout here, I want to update you once again on my live stream schedule. I'm going to be back with you on Saturday. Hopefully for the Texas-Ohio State game. It depends on, as I mentioned before, my YouTube TV is my TV provider. Them and Fox are going through some kind of dispute. So if I still have Fox Saturday, I will be on with a live stream of that Texas-Ohio State game. And then we'll have an FCS game for you Saturday evening as well. And also we'll be on Sunday night for the Notre Dame-Miami. We'll be on with a live stream of that game as well as wrapping it up on Labor Day night. This first full weekend of college football, TCU and North Carolina will be on for a live stream with you on that as well. Also going to be live streaming, hopefully, the NFL kickoff next Thursday night between the Cowboys and the Eagles in Philadelphia. Eagles will be raising their Super Bowl championship banner on opening night as they take on their NFC East rival Cowboys. We'll hopefully be on for a live stream on that as well. So it's going to be a lot of live stream action on my page here as we get into football season. Also going to be having some down the stretch baseball as well. Done a few baseball games here over the last month and still going to continue with some as we get down to the nitty gritty as far as the regular season wrapping up in Major League Baseball. Here tonight, it's 7-0. Boise State finished off this last drive with a touchdown, and now South Florida will receive the football in the final minute 10 of this first quarter. They have just kicked off at Rutgers between Ohio University and Rutgers. Rutgers already leading that game 7-0. Bowling Green's jumped out to a 7-0 lead over FCS Lafayette. And a bunch of games kicking off at the top of the hour. So here we go. Boise State set to kick this off. And this will go through the end zone for a touchback. And South Florida will bring it out and start their third offensive series of the game. Byron Brown in this game so far for South Florida, just 7 yards passing in this first quarter. As South Florida has been held to -3 yards in this first quarter. Here's a handoff on first down. This is going nowhere. As Norton got the carry, maybe a yard at most. And second down, South Florida does this hurry-up style offense as they're right back up. And out of the gun is Brown. Brown on 2nd and 9. Brown is going to be sacked for the second time in this quarter. And it's going to be another 3rd and long for South Florida. 3rd and 17 coming up. Third and 17, South Florida back at the 18-yard line. They do not want to go 3 and out again. It would give Boise State pretty good field position again. They will have to snap this before the quarter ends. Brown just gets the snap off. On 3rd and 17, Brown going down the field. It's caught. On 3rd and 17, the catch down the field. See who that was that caught that. That was Chaz Nimrod with the reception on 3rd down and 17. A gain of 35 on 3rd down. And that's how the first quarter comes to an end. See if that gets some life into the South Florida offense. As we've played a quarter in Tampa, Boise State leading South Florida 7-0. But South Florida with that 3rd down reception. South Florida picks up their first down of the game. Stats through the first quarter. 75 yards of offense for the Broncos, 27 for South Florida. Boise State did have that turnover on the fumble. At the time of possession in that first quarter, Boise State had the ball for almost 11 minutes, 10 minutes, 47 seconds, compared to South Florida's 4 minutes, 13 seconds. Brown for South Florida, 4 for 5 passing in that first quarter for 44 yards, but almost 40 of them right there on that last play to Nimrod. Madsen, 8 for 12 for Boise State, 46 yards and a touchdown. Chris Marshall, the receiving touchdown for Boise State. But South Florida, with a little bit of momentum on that last reception to end the first quarter, as they're going to be in Boise State territory when the second quarter gets underway. As mentioned, some other college football taking place. East Carolina and NC State. Bragging rights in the state of North Carolina. That game kicks off at the top of the hour, about 45 minutes away. Nebraska and Cincinnati. That's another intriguing matchup. That kicks off at 9 o'clock Eastern. Tomorrow, the 12th ranked Illinois Fighting Illini will be in action. Featured game tomorrow night on a Friday night, Auburn-Baylor, down there in Waco. Then outside the Texas-Ohio State matchup this weekend, we've got a couple top 10 matchups involving top 10 teams. Of course, that game on Sunday, Notre Dame and Miami. Notre Dame number 6, Miami number 10. And we also have the matchup coming up on Saturday in Death Valley. Number 4 Clemson hosting number 9 LSU. So this is about the best. Usually the opening week of college football doesn't exactly have the most intriguing matchups. That is not the case this year. We've got, we mentioned those 2 top 10 matchups. The 3 top 10 matchups, actually, with Texas, Ohio State, LSU, Clemson, and Notre Dame, Miami. So this is about the best opening week of college football schedule-wise that we have had in quite a long time. Of course, we got underway last Saturday, week 0. That game out there in Ireland, Iowa State and Kansas State, a pretty good one in that one. Iowa State came out on top there. But back to this one, it is 7-0 Boise State after 1. South Florida will have the ball in Boise State territory when the second quarter begins, which is going to be very, very shortly. On that last third down conversion pass to end the first quarter. Bulls at the Broncos 45-yard line as we open up the second quarter in Tampa. Brown going deep down the field, has a man but overshot him, incomplete. Had Nimrod down the field, but Brown overshot him by about 4 or 5 yards. It'll be second down. But that was a heck of an arm by Brown, just a little bit too much mustard on the throw. 2nd and 10. Brown back in the shotgun. Brown throws it along the sideline. That's Nimrod again, and he will go out of bounds around the 41-yard line. Gain of 4 on that pass for Nimrod. It's 3rd down and 6 coming up. Third down and 6 for South Florida. Ball from the Boise State 41. Is this 4-down territory? They went for it inside their own 40 in the first quarter. And this is a keeper. Brown will keep it and get the first down inside the 35, inside the 30-yard line. And Brown with a quarterback keep on 3rd and 6 picks up 12. Brown hustles right back up to the line as the Bulls look to answer that Boise State touchdown. Brown, open man again. That's caught. It's Nimrod again. There is a flag down. Nimrod with the catch at the 15-yard line, but we'll see what the flag is. And this is coming back on an offensive hold. So that 14-yard pass will be nullified. It's Connor McLaughlin, the guilty party on the hold for South Florida. So that will make it 1st and 20. First and 20 from the 39-yard line. Minute 20 old, second quarter. Brown down the field has a man caught. First reception of the game for Christian Neptune on the reception. But no gain as he was only able to get back to the line of scrimmage. 2nd down and 20. Brown out of the gun again. Brown will take it himself once again, and another flag comes in. Brown all the way inside the 20. Brown's going to take it to the end zone, but we'll see what the flag is. Brown took it 39 yards for a touchdown, but what's the flag? And it's coming back again on an offensive hold. Try to see who they got on that hold. Looks like Cole Best, the guilty party on the hold. He has a puzzled look on his face like I didn't hold anybody. But the officials saw otherwise, and a 39-yard touchdown run by Brown is all for naught. It is now 2nd and 30 for South Florida. Ball back at the 49-yard line. Brown, it's a little screen pass. Considerable gain out of this, inside the 35 up to the 34-yard line. Got half of the 30 back on that screen pass. Didn't exactly see who that was on the screen pass, but nonetheless, a 15-yard gain brings up 3rd down and 15. Brown under center now goes back in the shotgun. Brown looking, throwing downfield, incomplete. So now 4th and 15 at the 34. What do you do here if you're South Florida? Jaquan Smith was the intended receiver on that incomplete pass. And South Florida is going to bring out the field goal kicker. Nico Gramatica. A field goal attempt of 52 yards to get South Florida on the board. Snap is good. Grammatica's kick on the way, and it is good. From 52 yards, Grammatica puts it through, and South Florida is on the board with 12:39 to go in the second quarter. Not what the Bulls wanted, but they do get points out of it. And it's a 7-3 game with 12:39 to go in the second quarter, as Grammatica puts it through with plenty of room to spare from 52 yards. And it is now a 7-3 game with 12:39 to play in the opening half of play. Do want to mention at halftime, I am going to briefly pause the live stream. I do have something I have to take care of at halftime. I'm going to pause the live stream during halftime. I will be back with you just prior to the second half. But the live stream, I'm going to have to pause it when we reach halftime. 7-3 here as South Florida. Brown had a 39-yard touchdown run, but 2 holding penalties on that drive cost South Florida, and they do end up getting a field goal out of it. It's a 7-3 lead for Boise State with 12:39 to play in the first half of play. Let's update you on some other sports news. Let's update you on some Major League Baseball scores going on. Some finals for Major League Baseball today. Red Sox beat the Orioles 3-2. That's a 4-game sweep for the Red Sox. They go 7-1 on that 8-game road trip through the AL East. Diamondbacks beat the Brewers 6-4. Astros 4, Rockies 3. Cardinals 4, Pirates 1. Giants beat the Cubs 4-3. Out in the Bay Area, that's a 3-game sweep for the Giants over the Cubs. Coming up later on, here in about 20 minutes, Braves and Phillies from Philadelphia. The Red Hot Mets host the Marlins, and the Yankees are on the south side of Chicago to take on the White Sox. That's some scores from Major League Baseball today. And again, just a couple games going on right now. Lafayette and Bowling Green 7-0. That looks like it's in a weather delay. Bowling Green and Ohio has just scored against Rutgers, so Ohio's tied that game with Rutgers 7-7. And again, the featured game coming up later on tonight, coming up at 9 Eastern, Nebraska and Cincinnati. That game out in Kansas City. as Nebraska's coming off their first winning season since, I believe, 2016 last year. So they try to make it back-to-back winning seasons under Coach Matt Rule. And Cincinnati, out of the Big 12, as that game is in Kansas City at 9 o'clock. But here in this one, it's 7-3, Boise State leading South Florida, 12:39 remaining in this second quarter of play. As South Florida is getting ready to kick this ball off to Boise State. On a decent crowd filed in to Raymond James Stadium in Tampa for this one. As South Florida kicks it away. This ball taken at the goal line across the 10. Running sideways at the 12-yard line at the 15 and brought down at the 16-yard line. Probably could have gotten about 5 or 6 extra yards there, but decided to run sideways and brought down shy of the 20. So Boise State will not have the greatest starting field position this time, as they are going to start at their own 16-yard line. Sherrod in the backfield as the running back. And the give is to Sherrod. And Sherrod is brought down for a loss. South Florida defense right there brings down Sherrod for a 3-yard loss back to the 13-yard line. They'll give him a 2-yard loss on that. 2nd down and 12. Madsen down the field and overshot everybody, incomplete. And it'll be 3rd down. So 3rd down and 12 for Boise State at their own 14. And if South Florida can get a stop here, they should get outstanding field position. Third down and 12. Madsen out of the gun. 4 on the play clock. Madsen gets it off. Madsen downfield. Pass is caught. That's going to be a 1st down for Boise State. And out of bounds at the 29-yard line. A 3rd and 12 conversion. Latrell Caples with the reception for 15 yards and a 1st down for the Broncos. On 3rd and 12, Madsen to Caples pickup gets 15. And the drive continues. 1st down at the 29-yard line. This is a handoff here on 1st down, but going nowhere. On 1st down is Gaines. Maybe got a yard, but that's it. Be 2nd down. $16 yards on 5 carries in this first half for Gaines. No gain officially there, so 2nd down and 10 from the 29. Madsen looking downfield, incomplete. Almost picked off again. Who that was defensively. Jonas Duclona knocking that ball away and nearly getting the pick for South Florida. Third down and 10 for Boise at their own 29. 3 for 6 so far on third downs in this one. Madsen throwing, and it finds Gaines, but Gaines is not even going to be anywhere close to the first down. On 3rd and 10, the screen pass to Gaines gets only 4, and Boise State's going to have to punt this football away. So South Florida gets the stop defensively and forces Boise State into a punt. Oscar Doyle on to punt here for Boise State. Doyle gets it away. Joshua Porter back. Fair catch called by Porter at the 20-yard line. So that's where South Florida will start their next offensive series with 9:44 remaining in quarter number 2. Boise State leading this game 7-3. 1 first down on that drive for Boise State. Madsen up to 65 yards passing on 10 for 16. The South Florida defense has done pretty good against the Boise State rush, allowing just 27 yards rushing to this point. Boise State has outgained South Florida yardage 92-58. But South Florida only down by 4 on the scoreboard, 7-3. Boise State did have that fumble in the first quarter on the opening drive of the game where it looked like they were marching down the field. So with the score 7-3 with 9:44 to play in the second quarter, South Florida will start this next drive at their own 20-yard line. So let's see what Brown and the offense for South Florida can do on this next drive. He's 6 for 10 passing in this first half for 63 yards. He's found 4 different receivers so far in the first half. Chaz Nimrod has been his go-to receiver, 2 receptions, and he's gone to him about 3 other times. Looking at some other games coming up later in college football, mentioned a bunch of games starting at 7 o'clock. East Carolina and NC State. Battle of the state of North Carolina there. UCF in action against Jacksonville State. And Delaware making their FBS debut tonight. They take on their state rivals from Delaware State. Wyoming at Akron, Missouri. They open their season against Central Arkansas. That comes up in about an hour. Duke will open up against Elon. Oklahoma State opens their season against Tennessee Martin. A couple Big Ten teams in action. Minnesota will be hosting Buffalo. Wisconsin will be in action against Miami of Ohio. Mentioned that Nebraska-Cincinnati game coming up at 9 o'clock. Another Big 12 team, Houston. They open up with Stephen F. Austin. A couple of the other games coming up later on tonight. And your full slate tomorrow as well. As addition to that Auburn-Baylor game tomorrow, we've got Georgia Tech and Colorado. How will Colorado look this year with the Sanders kids graduating last year? How will Colorado answer without the 2 Sanders kids this year as they open up with Georgia Tech tomorrow? Back here, South Florida back out on offense as they will start this next drive at their own 20-yard line. Trailing Boise State 7-3 with 9:44 to go here in the second quarter. On first down, Brown out of the shotgun. And he'll give it off here, but that fooled absolutely no one as Neptune gets the carry, but he is stopped for no gain. And Brown quickly hustles back up to the line as South Florida does this hurry-up offense. 2nd down and 10. Brown will keep it himself, and Brown will pick up a couple up to the 22-yard line, but it'll be 3rd and long coming up for South Florida. Third down and 8. Brown once again out of the shotgun. Brown looking. Brown still looking, and Brown is going to be sacked for a 3rd time in this first half. And now a late flag comes in. Boise State may have just cost themselves 15 yards. There may be a little bit of extra celebration here. That's a situation where you got to know the situation. You've got the sack. Lay off at that point, but there was a little bit of extra celebration in there. And it is a penalty on Boise State, a personal foul, and that will give South Florida a 1st down. Oh, boy. Tell you what, the ball, they had the sack right there, and Devon Banks went in and gave a little bit of an extra shove. You got to be a little bit more disciplined than that. So Boise State just gives South Florida a free set of downs here as the Bulls are at their own 30, 1st down. This is Brown on the keeper again, but again, nowhere to go. Brown gets by a tackler, and he's going to end up getting 9 yards out of this. Boise had him for no gain, but Brown broke out of the tackle and ends up picking up 9 yards. Brown on 2nd down, throwing down the field, has a man, 1st down, down the field inside the 30, 25, 23-yard line. 38 yards on the reception to Kashawn Singleton. 1st down for Brown in South Florida. This is a screen pass and out of bounds to Joshua Porter on that reception. That'll gain about 6, and South Florida's into the Boise State red zone. Brown now over 100 yards, 8 for 12 for 104 passing in the first half. Ball at the Boise State 19, 2nd down and 5. And we've got flags. We've got some motion here. This is going to cost South Florida 5. Thomas Schrader guilty of the early jump for South Florida, so it'll be 2nd down and 10. Clock running, 7 minutes to play, 2nd quarter. Brown out of the gun. Brown looking downfield, throwing, has a man caught, fumbled the football. And the Broncos, or did they? South Florida actually may have ended up picking that back up. And South Florida does recover. Boise State looked like they had it. And now they may look here. Jeremiah Koger with the reception, and somehow he ended up bouncing back on the football. Well, that was a pretty good shot put on. It knocked the ball loose, but Coger somehow beat 3 Boise State players to the ball and recovered. So South Florida has a 1st and goal at the 4-yard line. And we've got a timeout on the field here. Boy, I have no idea how in the world Coger got back on that ball. We got a timeout here with under 7 to play in the second quarter in South Florida. 1st and goal situation at the Boise State 4-yard line. Trying to finish off this 80-yard drive. They are 4 yards away from taking the lead on number 25, Boise State. Rutgers has gone back ahead of Ohio. They've kicked a field goal just underway in the second quarter. Rutgers leads that game 10-7. Got a couple pretty good matchups coming up next week in college football as well. The Battle of the State of Iowa, Iowa and Iowa State, up there in Ames. Kansas and Missouri, former Big 12 rivals, they're going to duke it out on the football field next week. Mentioned this South Florida team will travel to Florida next week. This is South Florida starting off the season with 3 consecutive ranked teams. They got Boise State tonight. They're at Florida next week, and then they're at Miami the following week. A nasty, nasty start to the season for South Florida. Featured matchup next week in college football is in Norman, Michigan, and Oklahoma. Those 2 teams have games that you wouldn't think would be difficult for them. Michigan opens with New Mexico on Saturday. Oklahoma will host Illinois State. You don't figure those 2 teams to have much of a problem, but you never know. So we'll see if South Florida can finish off this drive, as when this break gets over, it'll be 1st and goal at the 4-yard line for the Bulls. I think there's a review on the play. Not exactly sure what they were reviewing, but it looked like they went to instant replay. I don't know if they were reviewing possession because Coger clearly caught the ball. And then a Boise State player came in with his helmet and knocked the ball loose. They're now saying that was an incomplete pass. So it will not be 1st and goal at the 4. Instead, it's back to 3rd and 10. Boy, it looked like Coger clearly had possession. But upon review, they say incomplete pass. So it's 3rd down and 10 at the 24. And before the 3rd and 10 snap, Boise State will take their first timeout at the 6:41 mark of the second quarter. Well, during this timeout break, I hope they show that replay again. I don't know what I missed, but it sure looked like Coger had possession, but they say incomplete pass, so nonetheless, it's going to be 3rd and 10 for the Bulls. Boise State taking the timeout on defense just to make sure everybody's on the same page, as this is an important 3rd and 10 here coming up. As Boise State leading this game 7-3, looking for a repeat trip to the college football playoff like they had a season ago. Here we go, 3rd and 10 for the Bulls from the 24 of Boise State. Brown back in the shotgun. Brown looking. Brown will keep it himself. He's got a lot of running room. First down, touchdown, Brown. 24-yard touchdown run, and the Bulls take the lead with 6:34 to play in the second quarter. Byram Brown, a 24-yard touchdown run. He had a 39-yard touchdown run on their previous drive that was called back on a penalty, but not this time as Brown finishes it off, and the Bulls take the lead with 6:34 to go in the second. An 80-yard, 8-play drive for South Florida. Gramatica will add the extra point, and it is now a 10-7 lead for South Florida over number 25, Boise State. Boy, Brown had all the room in the world to take it. And he saw that and took advantage and went basically untouched 24 yards to the end zone. So Brown gives South Florida the 10-7 lead over Boise State. We still have 6:34 to play here in the second quarter in Tampa. As South Florida set to kick this off, this is a very interesting kickoff formation for South Florida. And a whistle. Ball didn't look like it was set for ready to play yet. Looks like we're ready to go now. So Boise State will go on offense now, trailing for the first time, and here's the kickoff. And that will sail out of the back of the end zone for a touchback. So Boise State will start this next drive down by 3. Maddox Madsen in this first half, 10 for 16, 65 yards passing. Students have come out in full force tonight as Boise State starts this drive at the 25-yard line, first down. Madsen back in the shotgun, and we've got movement. I think South Florida jumped off sides here. I think South Florida just gave Boise State a free 5, and they did. Fifth first half penalty for South Florida for 40 yards. Boise State's been penalized 2 times for 20 yards. So 1st and 5 now at the 30. Madsen will give it off to Gaines. Gaines with running room. He's got a first down across the 40. Gaines still going up to the 45-yard line. 15 yards for Gaines and a first down for Boise State. Boy, Gaines broke a couple tacklers there. Gains up to 29 yards on 6 carries. And it's a first down at the 44. They go right back to him. Here's Gaines again. He picks up 9 more into South Florida territory. The Sire Gaines now up to 38 yards on 7 carries. Sherrod now back in at running back for Boise State, as it's 2nd and a yard from the 47 of South Florida. Madsen gives it off to Sherrod. First down inside the 45 up to the 42. Sherrod picks up 5 yards. Five minutes to go and counting, second quarter. Boise State trying to answer that South Florida touchdown, down by 3. First down, Broncos at the 42-yard line. Madsen looking to throw this time, throws down the field, has his man, that's caught inside the 25-yard line to the 23, 19-yard pickup. And a first down for Boise State. We do have a flag. And add to it on a roughing the passer. And it clearly was a late hit. Matt Lauder with the reception, and then 15 added to it on the personal foul on the roughing the passer. That'll actually be half the distance, so this is going to move the ball to about the 12-yard line. Sixth penalty of the first half for South Florida for 52 yards. First down, Boise State at the 12. Madsen under center. Gives it off to Sherrod. Sherrod this time is hit for no gain. That's Duclona making the play defensively for South Florida. Jonas Duclona, the junior out of Naples, Florida, with the stop for no gain. Second down, and we've got movement once again. Did South Florida just jump off sides again? Nope, they're going to get a false start this time. Broncos jumped the gun this time. That was Daylon Matoyer. A little bit of an early start for Boise State. It'll be 2nd and 14. Second down 14 for Boise State back at the 16-yard line. Madsen back in the shotgun once again. Madsen gives it off. This is Gaines back in the game. Gaines fumble. South Florida picks it up. And going the other way with it out of bounds at the 35-yard line. That's the second lost fumble for Boise State in the first half. Let's see who that was on the recovery for South Florida. Didn't see who that was on the recovery for South Florida, but they do get the turnover. And the second lost fumble of the half for the Broncos. So with 3:10 to go in the second quarter, South Florida gets it back at their own 36. This is Brown. Brown on the keeper again, and Brown will pick up a couple up to the 38-yard line. Someone lost their shoe out there on the field. I think it was Brown, actually. Brown came right out of his shoe on that 2-yard run. Second down 8 coming. 2nd down and 8. Brown, the handoff this time, and getting hit behind the line of scrimmage and dropped. Back at the original line of scrimmage. 3rd down and 10 coming up for South Florida. Third down and 8, and this is going to take us to the 2-minute timeout. 3rd down coming up for South Florida at the 2-minute timeout. South Florida leading Boise State 10-7. Again, I apologize. I did not see who that was that got the fumble recovery for South Florida. But South Florida has an important 3rd down coming up here out of the 2-minute timeout. A very big 3rd down for South Florida as Boise State in this game now lost 2 fumbles in the first half. That could come back to be a huge factor later on. So what do you do here if you're South Florida? You got 3rd down and 8 or so coming up. They went for it inside their own 40 in the first quarter and did not get it, and that led to the Boise State touchdown. So would you roll the dice again if you're South Florida if they do not pick it up here on 3rd down? To wait and see how they play this. Total yards in this first half so far, Boise State at 141, South Florida at 128. And remember, up to that last play, that big 37-yard pass at the end of the first quarter, South Florida was at minus 11 yards in the first quarter. So they have really picked up the offense here in the second quarter. And that's led to a 10-7 lead. Rutgers has added to their lead as they have just put another touchdown on the board against Ohio. So Rutgers now leading that game 17-7. And 5 games set to kick off here very shortly. So when we get back from this break, we are going to have a 3rd down for South Florida. As it's going to be a 3rd down at the 36-yard line. With the Bulls leading 10-7. And remember, Boise State got the football to start the game, so South Florida is going to get the ball to start the second half as well. So South Florida, a great chance to go 2 for 1 here at the end of the first half. And at the end of the first half and the beginning of the second half. So just about set to resume out of the 2-minute timeout. Brown's ready to go, but the officials say not quite yet. Now we're set for play. From the 36-yard line, 3rd down and 9. Brown back into the shotgun. The snap, Brown looking, Brown throwing, incomplete. That was off the hands of Sullivan, his intended receiver. He was going to be short of the first down anyway, and South Florida is going to bring out the punt team. Yeah, even if that catch is made, it's still going to be about 5 yards short of the first down. So a punt upcoming for South Florida. Now Boise State does have 2 timeouts left. If they can march this down the field, here's the punt. Fair catch made at the 24-yard line, and that's where Boise State will start this drive. Trailing by 3. So let's see what Madsen and the Boise State offense can do here. Late stages of the first half. First down for the Broncos at the 23-yard line. Madsen, the handoff. This is Sherrod, and Sherrod will pick up a yard only. And second down coming up with the clock running down to 100 seconds and counting. And Boise State not exactly hurrying back up to the line here. They've wasted about 20 seconds. Second down and 8. Madsen back in the gun. But Boise State took a lot of time right there. Pass is caught. Pass complete for a gain of 7 yards. He's going to be about a yard short of the first down. Third and a yard. Madsen throwing sideline out of bounds. Actually, they gave Boise State the first down on that last catch. We do have a flag down here. And actually, they're going to review. We don't have a flag. We got a review on that last play. I don't think that Boise State made the first down on that last play, and I think that's what they're reviewing. Ball needed to get to the 33-yard line. Yeah, there's no way the ball got up. He's a good half yard short. Ben Ford made the reception for Boise State, and they are reviewing the spot on this. This is going to be about a fourth and about a half yard, I would think, once this review is completed. This review should not take very long to sort out. They had given Boise State the first down originally. The whistle blew right before the next play was snapped. Yeah, the first down marker was the 33-yard line. And yeah, no way, shape, or form did Ben Ford make it up there. Now they're still looking at this. I'm surprised this has taken this long. Looked pretty cut and dry on the replay. I have a moment update on that Ohio-Rutgers score. Ohio has answered the Rutgers touchdown. That's only a 3-point lead for Rutgers. 17-14 in that one. 8.5 to go in the second quarter. They are still looking at this. This is surprising. I'm a big proponent of instant replay, but this is not what I'm a proponent on. This has taken way longer than it should, in my opinion. As this is the difference from 1st and 10 or 4th and about a half yard. And we're we're going to get the call right now. And they do mark Ford short. So it's going to be 4th down for Boise State. As they have also reset the game clock to 1:05. That might have been a little bit of the extra time in the delay as well. So 4th down and about a half yard. I'm sorry, 3rd down about a half yard, excuse me. Madsen under center. And Madsen will keep it himself and definitely get the 1st down this time. And the clock will stop momentarily to move the chains as Madsen gets it up to the 35-yard line. Madsen out of the gun. Madsen looking. Madsen throws. Caught, but Sherrod is popped right after the hit. Gain of only a yard. Timeout called by Boise State. Their 2nd of the half. Boy, Madsen, I think, was thinking that was going to be a much bigger completion than it was. Ended up going for only a yard, and Boise State's taking their 2nd timeout with 44 seconds remaining in the 1st half. So following the Boise State timeout, they're left with 1. 2nd down and 9 at the 35. Madsen out of the gun once again. Madsen looking downfield, has a man, and it's caught. That's Ben Ford again for a 1st down. 24 yards. And Boise State hustling up to the line. Boise State at the South Florida 41. Madsen. Madsen looking. Madsen throws. The pass is incomplete. Intended receiver that time was Matt Lauder. 2nd and 10 stops the clock with 30 seconds. Maddox Madsen now 14 of 21 passing in this 1st half, 120 yards. He's got a 2nd and 10 at the 41. Madsen, nowhere to go this time, looking, and we'll just throw it out of bounds. Madsen had absolutely nothing downfield and made the wise choice just to throw it out of bounds. 3rd and 10 coming up. This would be a 59-yard field goal from here, so Boise State's probably going to have to pick up at least about, probably have to get 1 more 1st down to get in legitimate field goal range. 3rd down and 10 from the 41 of South Florida, and I think Boise State just cost themselves 5 more. And it is a false start. So that will move the ball back to the 46-yard line. Daylon Matoyer, the guilty party there on the false start. 3rd and 15 at the 46. Madsen, it's a screen pass, but that's not going to get much of anything. The pass was caught by Sherrod. He does get 6 yards and gets out of bounds at the 40, but it's going to be 4th down and 9 now. This will be a 58-yard field goal from here, so I would think Boise State's probably just going to keep the offense out there. Colton Boomer's the field goal kicker. He's got a pretty good leg, but I don't know if it's quite that good. 4th and 9 from the 40. 20 seconds to play, first half. Madsen. They're not going to get this play off. Play clock is at 0. They did not get the play off. Boy, those are just mistakes that you have to avoid. You've got to know where that play clock is there. I don't know if it was slow getting the play called in or what, but and now they're going to have to punt it away. Boy, Boise State shot themselves in the foot a couple times in the first half to go along with those 2 fumbles. Here's the punt by Doyle. And that's going to bounce into the end zone for a touchback. And South Florida will have it at the 20-yard line with 13 seconds to play in the half. We may just see a kneel down here, with South Florida going to get the ball to start the second half. So South Florida coming out on offense at the 20-yard line. And it does look like it's just going to be kneel down formation for South Florida here. Well, or as I say that, Brown goes back into the shotgun. So we'll see what they do. There's the snap, and it is just a handoff. Nothing doing here, and that play will take us to halftime. 30 minutes in the books in the opener for both these teams, and South Florida has a 10-7 lead over Boise State at the half. And it will be South Florida ball, receiving the ball to start the second half. So 10-7, our halftime score. South Florida leading number 25, Boise State. Again, I do have to pause the stream here at halftime. I got a thing or two I got to take care of. I will be back for the second half, right before the second half kicks off. So I'll see you back here in about 20, 25 minutes or so.